Close your eyes for a few seconds and think of a pyramid. I'm willing to bet an image of the golden sands of Egypt and the Great Pyramids of Giza just flashed into your mind. They're icons of human history, so singular that they seem to belong to Egypt alone. But what if I told you that the pyramid is not just an Egyptian story, that it's a global story? While the pharaohs were raising their monuments to the sun god Ra, other civilizations, separated by impassable oceans and thousands of years, were also stacking stones towards the heavens in a strikingly similar shape. Welcome to Roots and Realities, the podcast where we explore the shared patterns of our human story. I am your host Manu Nellutla, and in this episode we will visit the monumental pyramids of the Nile, temples of Mesoamerica, the massive earth mounds of North America, and the hidden tombs of China. We will explore why so many distinct cultures built these incredible structures, and we will tackle the great historical debate. Were they connected by some lost ancient knowledge, or is the pyramid a shape that is somehow hardwired into the human imagination? Our journey has to begin where the classic image was born, in Africa, in the fertile valley of the Nile. But the Great Pyramid didn't just appear. It was an evolution of belief and engineering. As per mainstream historians, it started with low, flat-roofed rectangular tombs called mastabas. Then, a genius architect and physician named Imhotep had a brilliant idea. While serving his pharaoh Djoser, he decided to stack 6 mastabas of decreasing size on top of one another. The result was the step pyramid at Saqqara, the world's first colossal stone building. This set off a century of ambitious, often failed experimentation. There is a bent pyramid at Dahshur, where the engineers had to change the angle midway to prevent a collapse. But soon after, they perfected the form, creating the first true smooth-sided pyramid, the Red Pyramid. This innovation culminated at Giza with the Great Pyramid of Khufu, a structure that held the record as the tallest man-made building on Earth for over thousands of years. The technology behind these structures is, according to mainstream Egyptology, as impressive as their scale. They quarried massive limestone blocks from nearby plateaus, and for the finer casing stones from Tura across the Nile. Enormous granite blocks were brought from Aswan, hundreds of miles to the south. As noted in some recent discoveries, like the diary of a man named Mehrer, these blocks were transported on boats via a system of canals that brought the water of the Nile right to the pyramid's base. On land, thousands of workers hauled the multi-ton stones on large sleds, weighting the sand in front of them to reduce friction. They shaped these stones with astonishing precision, using copper chisels and saws, which used sand as an abrasive to cut through harder rock like granite. To raise the blocks, they built enormous ramps, though the exact configuration is still debated. These pyramids were resurrection machines, tombs designed to launch the pharaoh's soul to the stars to join the sun god Ra. The sheer scale was a message of the pharaoh's divine power and the state's incredible ability to organize labor, perhaps made of enslaved people or thousands of skilled paid workers. But this is where the mainstream narrative is challenged. For some researchers, the official explanation just doesn't add up. The Great Pyramid alone is made up of 2.3 million blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons. The precision is baffling. The casing stones were fitted so perfectly that a razor blade can't be inserted between them. The entire structure is aligned to true north with an accuracy that modern builders would find difficult to replicate. So how could a Bronze Age culture with copper tools accomplish all this in just a 20-year time frame? This question has opened the door to a world of alternative theories. Some theorists proposed that the stones weren't carved and lifted at all, but were cast in place like an early form of concrete, using a slurry of limestone aggregate. This would explain the perfect fit, but it is not supported by most geological analysis. Another popular theory tackles the ramp problem. French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin has famously argued that the pyramid was built using a hidden internal ramp that corkscrews up inside the structure, which he believes modern scans have started to reveal. And then there are more radical ideas. Some point to the incredible mathematical constants encoded in the pyramid's dimensions. Its proportions appear to approximate both the pi and the golden ratio. Could this be a coincidence or a sign of a far more advanced knowledge of mathematics and engineering than is currently accepted? These nagging questions are why the pyramids, especially the one at Giza, remain a source of endless fascination and debate. Now, from Giza, let's travel to ancient Mesopotamia in the modern day Iraq. Here, we find a different kind of pyramid, the ziggurat. The great ziggurat of Ur, for example, was also a stepped pyramid, roughly contemporary with the Egyptian ones. But its purpose was entirely different. It was not a tomb. Unlike the stone construction of Egypt, ziggurats were built with a core of sun-dried mud bricks. The exterior was then covered with a layer of kiln-baked bricks, which were more resistant to the elements. These outer bricks were often glazed in different colors. The builders also used bitumen, a natural asphalt, as mortar and for waterproofing. These massive structures had no internal chambers like Egyptian pyramids, but these were solid platforms. The Mesopotamians believed their gods lived in the sky, so they built artificial mountains to get closer to them. The ziggurat was a staircase to heaven, with a temple at its summit where the gods could descend and commune with humanity. The ziggurats were the religious, administrative, and economic heart of the city-state. So in the old world, we have two foundational blueprints. In Egypt, the pyramid as a sealed tomb for the king's afterlife. In Mesopotamia, the pyramid as a terraced temple, an open platform to meet the gods. And now, let's cross an ocean that, according to mainstream history, no one from that world would cross for another thousands of years. We are going to the Americas. And what do we find? Pyramids, thousands of them, built by people with no knowledge of Egypt or Mesopotamia. So how and why? Now that's an incredible part. The pyramids of the Americas represent one of the most stunning examples of independent invention in human history. Built without metal tools like the wheel or large draft animals, their scale and sophistication are still staggering. Our first stop is the heart of Mesoamerica, at the ancient metropolis of Teotihuacan, just outside modern Mexico City. Here, you will find the colossal pyramid of the sun and the pyramid of the moon. These are stepped pyramids, more like ziggurats than Egyptian tombs, featuring a distinctive architectural style known as the talud tablero, where the sloping base is topped by a vertical, often decorated panel. They were built with a core of earth and rubble faced with stone and then covered in lime plaster, which was often painted with vibrant murals. These pyramids were ceremonial centers, stages for massive rituals. We still don't know the name of the people who built this incredible city. Their civilization collapsed centuries before the Aztecs arrived. Further south, in the jungles of Guatemala and Mexico, the Maya built their own iconic pyramids, like the soaring temples of Tikal. Their technology was remarkable. They quarried limestone and used a highly durable lime plaster, which they made by burning limestone at high temperatures. They even mixed this lime plaster with tree sap, which created a tougher, more weather-resistant material that has helped preserve these structures through the centuries of jungle humidity. Here, the pyramid served a dual purpose. Like a ziggurat, it was a platform for a temple, a stage for rituals that reinforced the power of the ruling elite. But like in Egypt, they were also sometimes tombs. For example, in Palenque, the magnificent temple of the inscriptions was built over the tomb of the great ruler Pakal the Great. whose sarcophagus was found deep within the pyramid. And then there are the Aztecs, who built their capital on an island in a lake. At its heart stood the Templo Mayor, a massive dual pyramid with two temples on top. The structure was rebuilt at least 7 times, with each new ruler building a larger pyramid over the existing one, like layers of an onion. But the story doesn't end here. If we travel to North America, to a site called Cahokia, near modern day St. Louis, we find something amazing. The Mississippian culture around 1050 CE built a city of thousands around these massive earthen pyramids. The largest of them, called Monk's Mound, has a footprint larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was built basketful by basketful of earth. This required immense social organization, with laborers moving an estimated 22 million cubic feet of soil. They used different types of soil and clay in layers to enhance stability and drainage, thus showing a sophisticated understanding of engineering. And if we go back all the way to South America, to the coast of Peru, we find the Moche people who built the Huaca de Sol and Huaca de la Luna, the pyramids of the sun and moon, out of millions of adobe bricks. These weren't just random mud bricks. They were mass produced in molds, and many are marked with symbols representing the communities that made them, suggesting it could be a form of taxation or tribute. Huaca del Sol, or the Pyramid of the Sun, alone is estimated to contain over 130 million bricks. The pyramid impulse wasn't confined to Africa and the Americas. Let's cross across the Pacific to Asia. In China, near the city of Xi'an, lies the tomb of the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. It's a gigantic man-made earthen mound, essentially a pyramid. It remains largely unexcavated. Its construction, which took nearly 4 decades and involved a workforce of 700,000 laborers, utilized a unique technique called rammed earth. Workers would pound thin layers of soil within a wooden frame until they were incredibly compact and durable, a structure that has withstood over 2 millennia. We know from the ancient texts and the discovery of the 8,000 strong terracotta army that this was a model of his entire empire, designed for his afterlife. From China, if we go to southern India, we see another stunning variation. Great Hindu temples built by the Chola dynasty, like the magnificent Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjavur, were crowned with a towering pyramid-shaped structure called a vimana. This is not a tomb, but the sacred tower that sits directly above the temple's inner sanctum, which houses their deity. Constructed entirely from granite, these intricate stepped pyramids are designed to represent the mythical holy mountain Meru, which is the abode of the gods. Across the sea in Indonesia, we see the shape echoed in temple structures like Borobudur, a massive Buddhist monument. Built around a natural hill, its construction involved carving and laying approximately 2 million blocks of volcanic stone. The builders used a brilliant interlocking system with bulges and holes cut into the stones, so they can fit together like Lego bricks without any mortar. This created a structure that was both strong and flexible. So we have the evidence, a very global phenomena. And this brings us to the great debate. Coincidence or connection? The case for connection, often called hyperdiffusionism, has long been dismissed by mainstream archaeology. But in recent decades, proponents like author Graham Hancock argue that the similarities between ancient sites are not a coincidence, but a legacy of a single lost global civilization. According to this theory, an advanced human society flourished deep in the last ice age, more than 12,000 years ago. This civilization was wiped out by a global cataclysm like a great flood, where a few survivors traveled the world, sharing the knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and monumental architecture. In this view, the pyramids of Egypt, Mesoamerica, and elsewhere are not independent inventions, but echoes of a forgotten mother culture. This theory challenges the established timelines of history. For example, the Orion correlation theory, proposed by Robert Bowell, suggests the layout of the 3 Giza pyramids is in a perfect map of the 3 stars in Orion's belt. But due to the precision of equinoxes, this alignment wasn't perfect as suggested in 2500 BC when the pyramids were supposedly built. It was, however, a perfect match for in the year 10,500 BC. Proponents also point to the Sphinx, which shows signs of what they argue is water erosion, suggesting it could only have been carved when the Giza plateau had a much rainier climate. And this could be thousands of years before the pharaohs. These ideas are compelling, but they are firmly in the realm of pseudo-archaeology for the vast majority of historians and scientists. The mainstream consensus is that there is simply no physical evidence, no tools, no settlements, no pottery of a globe-spanning super civilization in the Ice Age. This leads us back to the scholarly consensus. Coincidence, or more accurately, convergent cultural evolution. Let's break down why this is so compelling. First, physics and simplicity. If you want to build a very tall, stable structure using basic materials like stone, brick, or earth, a pyramid is the most effective shape. It has a wide, heavy base and gets lighter as it goes up, making it incredibly resistant to gravity and time. It's simply good engineering. Second, symbolic universality. These structures are artificial mountains, connecting the earth where we live with the mysterious sky where the gods reside. They are symbols of power. The bigger your pyramid, the more powerful your king. And they are monuments to permanence, a way to fight against the decay of time. These deep human drives to reach the divine, to assert power, and to achieve immortality are universal. It's plausible that different peoples using the same human brain and facing the same existential questions independently must have arrived at the same monumental solution. In this episode, we have seen the tombs of Giza and the temples of Ur, and then we went to the temples of Mexico and the earthen mounds of Cahokia in North America. We have seen that the pyramid is not one culture's invention, but humanity's obsession. While the idea of a lost civilization of technologically advanced super beings is a fantastic theory, the evidence points to something I find even more profound. The pyramids are not a mystery of lost contact, but a testament to a shared human blueprint. They reveal that no matter where we are on Earth, when we decide to build something eternal to honor our gods and our leaders, our minds gravitate to the same powerful, elegant shape. The pyramids prove a universal connection, not of boats and trade routes, but of the very architecture of the human mind and spirit. So, next time you see that iconic shape, whether it's on a dollar bill, in a history book, or among your city's skyline, remember its story of human ingenuity, shared ambition, and our unending quest to build a legacy that reaches for the heavens. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a comment. It helps our show stand the test of time, just as the pyramids. Thanks for digging deep with us. I am Manu Nellutla, and this has been Roots and Realities.